So at the start of high school, I remember how I was this really shy person when it came to talking to girls. Like, I always feared that I wouldn't know what to say and that there would just be this awkward silence. So I just tried to avoid talking to them for most of the time, which kind of just developed the fear even more. And I remember how at that time, my friend actually came up to me and he was like, yo, apparently this girl really likes you, like she's obsessed with you. And at that time, I didn't really have my hopes up because a lot of the girls that liked me previously, I wasn't really attracted to. But when my friends showed me a picture of her, I was just in shock. Like, I couldn't believe that a girl like that actually liked me. And I remember how for the next few weeks, I was just in so much stress that I genuinely couldn't eat because of how much I was thinking about that girl. And long story short, I eventually got the courage to text her, but man, I wasn't ready for it, like, at all. Like, we started talking, but the things I said to her, I think it would just haunt me for the rest of my life. But even though I said some really awkward things, I still managed to go on a few dates with her. But my faith in God and wisdom were just developing a lot. I was just kind of in the beginning stages of being a Christian. And I remember how one day when I was praying, I told God that, okay, if this girl is going to damage my relationship with you, please remove her out of my life. And the thing is that shortly after I prayed it, that girl just completely lost interest in me. I wasn't like actually expecting for God to literally remove her out of my life. So I was just devastated after that happened. It was my first time for me to actually ever have a thing with a girl, and it just affected me a lot emotionally. And I know this will sound crazy, but it literally got to the point where I was just so mad that I just got up in the middle of the night and I just started punching a wall. I promise I'm not crazy, but actually I'm not really sure about that. And at one point I asked God, why would you allow that girl in my life if you knew that she was going to hurt me? And at that moment, I really didn't know the answer. But as time went on, I started seeing how much that situation actually developed me. I realized how much I've grown in my fear of talking to girls, and in my confidence and in my knowledge. And I just realized how that whole thing basically strengthened my faith in God, because I gave up something that I thought was very important at that time, and I kept God first. I realized that even though things didn't go my way, how I wanted them to go, God still turned the situation around, and He developed my character for the good. And you probably clicked on this video because something like that has happened in your life as well. And you might be asking God, Lord, why would you allow this to happen? But I just want to read you this verse. In Matthew 16:22-24, it says, "But Peter took him aside and began to reprimand him for saying such things. 'Heaven forbid, Lord,' he said. 'This will never happen to you.' But Jesus turned to Peter and said, 'Get away from me, Satan. You're a dangerous trap to me. You're seeing things from merely a human point of view and not from God's.' Then Jesus said to his disciples, 'If any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross, and follow me.'" And this is in context when Jesus predicted his own death. And he told his disciples how he needs to go to Jerusalem for them to actually say these bad things about him and for them to crucify him. And my point is in his verse that often we look at things from a human point of view and we judge them as either right or as either wrong. Because if you're leaning to your own understanding, are you really trusting God or are you really trusting yourself? And the truth is, I really have no idea why God allowed that girl in your life. I am not God. I do not know His thoughts. And I do not know His plan. But what I do know is that if you just trust in Him, your whole life is in His hands. And from my experience, whenever I trusted in Him, He never failed me. And I just want to encourage you to stop judging that situation as either good or as either bad. But just try to get the most out of it, like with my example. And I'm sure that if you trust Him, He'll turn the situation for good. But that is up to you and what you choose.